Welcome to Monday. It's July 17th, 2023. Your Day Weather Podcast being brought to you by Cowboy State Daily. Check them out at cowboystatedaily.com. Temperatures are going to be, summer-like. You all have been hearing about on the news, all the big heat in the southwest and the far south and the far west. Some of that is going to be working its way a little bit further north into the region. And that means that we're going to actually have some summer. Although for some of you in the northern plains in the upper Midwest, it's going to still be rather on the cool side of things. But let's take a look at what's coming. So warm temperatures and monsoon moisture. Those are the two big players coming this week and next week. The high pressure ridge in the desert southwest expands more northward, and that brings the heat in. But that expansion of the high pressure ridge is going to help that monsoonal moisture. We've got a moisture plume coming. That's going to be expanding and really starting today out in the plains, but especially tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, west of the divide, western slope areas. You're going to really notice an uptick in afternoon and evening thunderstorm activity west of the divide, but also east of the divide as well. Pretty much this is a textbook example of monsoonal moisture that's coming and the pattern that tends to bring it. And this is going to be a rather persistent pattern that will go through this week, a persistent pattern that goes into next week as well. And for the second half of July, it's really about what we normally get or we usually see in any given summer season. I was unable to get this photo in last Friday. Another great shot there from Lake McConaughey of a shelf cloud for another big severe thunderstorm that rolled through southwest Nebraska. And then over the weekend, especially on Saturday, there was a very well photographed thunderstorm that developed over east central areas of Wyoming, over Goshen County especially. And a lot of folks were able to see this isolated big thunderstorm. Just a beautiful anvil there, could be seen from very far away. In fact, a lot of folks in the Lusk area were able to see it looking off to the southeast. Just a beautiful, beautiful shot there, especially with the light on the cloud as the sun was going down. And then there's a shot all the way from Douglas. So a lot of you witnessed that thunderstorm on Saturday. There was also a couple of isolated thunderstorms you could see that were in central Nebraska from very far away. And this is another shot from Saturday. This is probably the same thunderstorm, but just at its earlier stages of development. Then we have some great mammatus clouds showing up in the Wheatland area with some of those afternoon thunderstorms that we saw on Saturday as well. The satellite photo this morning, not very busy. We have a little bit of thunderstorm activity going through Missouri and Illinois at the moment, but across the rest of the nation, it's a pretty quiet morning out there. But here's the subtropical moisture. Two big areas of it right here, and another area of the deeper moisture has gotten further north. And with the high pressure ridge, and you can tell where the highest pressure is with that very dry air right here, but the clockwise air circulation around the high is now bringing this moisture plume up into the southwestern United States and then farther north now into the northern Great Basin and eventually the Rockies. So that moisture is coming, and you can see the plume in the precipitable water right here. And we could actually say that there's actually a tongue of it that's coming in right there as well, and as it goes around the high. So here's the dry, stable air under the high. As we talked last week, it's the periphery, the edge of the high, where the moisture wants to go. And here is where the thunderstorms are going to be today. There's going to be some slight risk out in Nebraska, South Dakota, and northeastern Wyoming with a few strong thunderstorm cells there as that moisture circulates around the high, and strong daytime heating get those thunderstorms going. Same up across parts of Montana as well, back into eastern Idaho. Then we have this area right here where there's still dry enough air to mitigate thunderstorms. So you're going to see this fill in. There it is. This is for tomorrow. Notice these areas now are in light green. Doesn't have any severe weather threat there, but general thunderstorms. And we're going to see this area of light green over the next several days as we're just going to, with daytime heating, going to be getting into these afternoon and evening thunderstorms. The high, this is where it's going to be at noon today. And as we go through the week, it's going to have a lot of heat in the southwestern United States. But what's remarkable is the contrast that Hudson Bay low is causing very cool weather. I mean, you're talking extremely cool weather for Minnesota, the Dakotas, the Great Lakes into the Midwest relative to normal. Then we have this big contrast right here with the heat you've been hearing about on the news here. Remember, where there's going to be somewhere hot, there's going to always be somewhere just as cold on the other end. And we have that contrast right here. There is always going to be the opposite somewhere else on the globe. That's the way the weather works. So you tend to have these concentrated areas where it's colder, concentrated areas where it's warmer, and that's very typical as you get into the summer season. But you can see the heat getting a little bit further north now along the east slopes of the Rockies and pushing out across the divide. But very cool air, not very far east out into the plains. Now this is by Thursday. The high is still there. The low is stretching out a little bit, taking that cooler air east. So plenty of warmth will come into the west and the clockwise circulation remains. And so what you're going to see stepping forward, here's the precipitable water forecast for tomorrow. See that deeper moisture pushing east a little bit more along Interstate 80. So that's Tuesday. This is going to be late Wednesday. And look at it really piling up here along the Front Range by Thursday and into Friday as well. So Thursday into Friday, Front Range areas really get into the monsoon pattern as well. And if we were to step forward going out far in the long-term range, what I'm showing you here is 6-hour increments of the model predicting where the thunderstorms and the lightning strikes are going to be between now and the middle of next week. And as we go through this, you're going to see a pattern here as you hit the afternoon and evening hours of the thunderstorms building in the Rockies, the desert Southwest, then nighttime thunderstorm activity then goes into the northern plains and parts of the Corn Belt. When we mean a persistent pattern, here you can really see it. You're just going to continue to have thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening hours, consistently warm temperatures. Then these thunderstorms will be nocturnal as they go out into the plains and into the Corn Belt. So this will be something where it doesn't mean it's going to rain on you every day, but it does mean that there's going to be an afternoon or evening thunderstorm somewhere in your neighborhood. It may not be on top of you, but it's going to be around. Temperature-wise, over the next 10 days, if you average them together, you can see the persistent coolness continues here in this part of the country here, persistently warm across the far south and the far west over the next 10 days. Have yourself a great Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.